Okay, so I thought I would do another short video about a silent story. So here we go. And I'm not going to tell you the subject first to test you. Okay, did you see the story? And I was talking about driving to work. And I said this morning, so I had my time, right? So I started out with my time this morning. Then I said I was driving. So that's the second. That's the topic. And then I was driving to work. And then and then there was more additions, right? So more things about it. And then I couldn't see. And why could I see? Because there was fog. And then all of a sudden I kind of slammed on my brakes. And why? Because there was a person walking across in front of me and their clothes were dark. And so I couldn't see them because it was so foggy outside. So, and then I continued on my way and drove to work and arrived safe. You might could have said safe arrive, but I think it makes more sense in the context and also grammatically that you arrive and how you arrive. So you arrive safe, or arrived scared, or arrived, damaged, or something to that effect. You can say that, you can add that more of the adjectives. So that's how you would tell a story. It's a short story, and that's how you would put it in ASL word order. So we had our time, we had our topic, and then our comments about it. So when we're saying a sentence, sometimes we do one thing at a time. When we're telling a story, we tell it in that order. And remember, in ASL, it's always first person. So if it's multiples, if we're talking about plural, then we do the sign more than once. If we talk about in the past, we say that, we would say drive, and then if I said I drove, right? But I said I was driving. But if I was thinking, or if my sentence was I drove, I would say drive, finish. So finish is a completed action, and that's your ED. That's your past tense. So if I'm doing like this, I'm driving, right? But if I drove finish, then I drove, D-R-O-V-E. So you have to kind of think about it in that way. So, or you could say store, drive, will. So that's in the future. So I will drive to the store. You see what I'm saying? Is so it's everything is in first person, and then you add at the end your tense. So it's either finish, where it's completed action, it's past tense, or you will, or in the future, which is your future tense. But everything else is said in first person, which is present tense. And so that's just how it works. You can say, I've seen deaf people. I don't I don't think people do this anymore, or not as much. But when I started, these real, strong ASL deaf signers, they would tell this story in first person, and you're just going along, and then they'll say not. And so that would mean they didn't, right? Because we say that sometimes too. We'll say, yeah, I'm going to enjoy that, not, right? But they'll go along and the story is in first person like it's happening now, and then they'll say not, which means it didn't happen. So that kind of messed up interpreters a lot, because we'd be going along and then we'll say, but I didn't go. You couldn't say not, that wasn't appropriate to say it that way. And when we see that, when they weren't doing any other tense in the middle of their story or their whatever they were discussing, then you would have to say, but I didn't do any of that, right? So that's how we would, kind of correct ourselves, how we do it in English. But in ASL, that's perfectly normal, and that's the way the grammar goes. But if someone stops you, even a deaf person, but a deaf person usually will watch the whole story. They won't interrupt you. It's as hearing people that we will interrupt someone saying, but what about da-da-da, did you go there? Instead of waiting for the end of the story. And so I love watching deaf people because they tell these wonderful stories, and they don't interrupt you, and you don't interrupt them. You just kind of just really take it all in and kind of get the whole scenery. For example, here's another story that a deaf person told me. And so they went to Las Vegas. They played the one-armed bandit, right? And then a bunch of money came out. And then they did the roulette, wheel. And then they went to go see a show. It was all nice and bright. They singing and dancing, and the costumes were colorful and bright. Color many, and is colorful. And then they went back to the one-armed bandits again. So, of course, hers was more in depth, and it was a lot, it was more in detail. But I wanted to do another quick story. So, those are the things that you say. So she said recently, right? So she started out with her time recently. She flew. So it could have been like last week or 2 weeks ago when she told the story, but she flew to Las Vegas. Yeah. And when we arrived, we went in and played the one-armed bandit, because I believe you can do that in the airport. I don't know, I haven't been to the Las Vegas airport. But, she had arrived at the hotel, but I didn't say that. I just did one-armed bandits and all this money. She could have said coins, because that's what it is coins comes down instead of money. But that's what she did. And so, we went to go see a show, and there was singing, and there was dancing, and their clothes, you would say costumes, right? That's what we would have said. Their clothes were all sparkly, bright colors, very colorful, many colors. So have fun with stories, and when you tell a story, even if it's to yourself, think about time, and then your topic, and then your comment. What about it? And then just kind of practice to yourself and how you would describe and how would you paint that picture. And you can take a long time practicing it, and you can take a long time setting it up. That doesn't matter. I'm doing it short because people with silence kind of get bored, or they get kind of frustrated. So I wanted you to see a short, condensed story. So practice think about something, just a little thing that happened to you today or yesterday or whatever, and just tell the story. And it may not even be important, but you're just saying, well, the kids, I drove them to school, right? And then I went to the grocery store. I mean, those kinds of things. But then you're telling the story and you're showing in space and you're using the time factor. So those are things that are important. So have fun and practice and embellish. See you later. Bye.